All right, everybody, what is going on? This is the last weekend of February, so yes, of course, the February recap. Again, I mentioned in my last video, I will not be doing a January recap. I got so overwhelmed with so many trades, and by the time I was even all caught up to even review my January, I don't even remember any trades. Like if you would ask me, yeah, Kyle, think of 5 trades from January. I don't think I could. It's all a blur. So unfortunately, we will pass on that one, but I am ready and prepared for February, which was my best month ever of 440,000, almost $440,000, 439,800. Um, just I don't know. I don't have any words really to uh, understand how I could create this level of a month. And of course, there's traders like Jack, who's probably my closest friend in the trading community, who's made over, I think he made over like 2 million this month. Uh, just even more mind blowing. I think it's everyone's dream to become a trader and to make, not everyone's dream, everyone who's listening to this wants to be a trader, makes a lot of like big money. And I know when I first started out, even the idea of making like 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 grand a month was like the end all be all. Like, I'm amazing if I could do that. Like, I've made it, quote unquote made it, and I don't need to like grow anymore. Um, but when we're given a market like this and the opportunities are overwhelming, and I've learned how to size up, and my experience just keeps getting better and better and better. Having a month like this just makes sense. It won't always be like this, but it really opened my eyes as to the potential, right? And how I wouldn't say limitless, but how big you could actually get, in this game, in this market. So, just incredible, really awesome. I've already passed all of my 2020 in just January and February, which again, I'm speechless. I just mind blowing. Just here to take advantage of it while it's here, because again, I've been around long enough to know this market does not stay like this, right? It will slow down. I will have to readjust to much, much, much lesser months. And that's okay, right? That's trading. That's why I'm here. I've signed up for this. I know what comes with the territory. So, but anyways, like usual, we're gonna go week by week, best trades and worst trades. Um, I could go on for hours of every single trade I've taken, but I mean, this month in February, I took the most trades I've ever taken. I think I took like 148 trades. I've never taken that many trades in a month ever. So we're only going to go over a very small percentage of them. I think I have like 20 or so trades we're going to go over in this video. But I am going to go over the best and the worst and try to, ignore all the ones that just really didn't mean much, because there's so many of them. There's just too many. So here we go. Let's get started. Week 1, right? First through the fifth. Not much happened these first 4 days. I will go over why I had a red day here, but really the big day was the fifth. So let's jump right in for the first red day of that week on, I believe, what was the third? Yeah, the third red day, or I had a red day on the third, was because of WW. So if you aren't in the challenge or haven't been seeing me chat about this ticker, this has been a former supernova from, I mean, for years. Let's go back even further. Um, I actually was trading it back in here when I went to 11, when I had an account just over PDT. I think I just crossed PDT. Actually, no, I was still under PDT at this time. And so I was actually trading this first red day, making some money there. So I've had a long history with this ticker, shorting it when it runs up a lot. And so we actually have had, 3 beautiful run ups the last 2 or 3 months. We had a run up here, made some money. Another run up, I believe, yeah, another run up right here as well. Made some good money in January. This was my biggest trade in January. Actually, it's the one trade I do remember from January. If we go, where was it? I believe it was on here. This day, the 26th, was a big day for me because of WNW. So thank you for that one. Um, but anyways, you noticed it bounces, right? And then it fades off. And specifically, when we go back all the way over here, when we had this bounce, we faded off, another bounce, we kept fading off. So I was looking for every single time this ran up, or every single time this ticker bounced, I was looking to get short and then fade it back down to the low 4s or 3s. Like I thought, okay, the supernova run has happened. Let's reshort this bounce and swing it for like a month and make another like 50% downside, right? That was the idea. And so when we did that here, we started bouncing, from 10 now to 15, 16. I was like, okay, awesome. Like, let's get short. And then we'll just risk the highs and we'll fade it back down to, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 5 if I want to be really patient. Um, So I did get short a couple thousand, I think maybe 1,500 shares at the biggest point. I did kind of go in and out sometimes just to reduce my risk and try to maybe be aggressive. But I ended up having like a 15 average overall. And by the time we got back up to 19, I was like, geez, like this sticker does not die. So I did cut it. I lost like, I think like 6 grand. So that's what did put me red on this day today, or on the third. Again, no big deal, but it just showed me like how resilient some tickers are in this market, right? which led to this huge run up, which I will go over at the end of this video, because this was a huge play for me as well. But yeah, so just got squeezed on what I thought would be a failed bounce, ended up, setting up for another breakout. So just incredible there. Coming into the end of the week, like I said, big day was, part of that day was ALYI on the 5th, on Friday, nearly almost a $60,000 day. ALYI. This is probably my best breakout play I've ever traded, because one thing I do struggle with going long is patience. I can be very patient on the short side, but being patient on the long side is not a strength of mine. I think the longest I've ever, well, there's two ways to look at it. I've been long plenty of stocks for months, right? Like long-term investments, but I have to be long them without looking at them, right? I have to they have to be off to the side. I have to not be watching them. I have to, understand my risk level, or I'm risking zero. Like it's an investment. I'm gonna let it, like it's gonna go zero, or I'm gonna, you know, make X amount of percent year over year. Um, but when trading wise, I'm very impatient, right? Because I'm watching it all the time, and seeing it, go up and down. At some point, I lose patience and I sell. Um, AOII was a really good example of me being very, very patient. I ended up buying it. We'll go into the intraday level, into the charts here, but over the 6 cent level here, kind of seemed like a small breakout before the actual breakout over 7 cents. I started getting long there, and I actually held it all the way up till, I believe, either this day or this day. I actually held it for like 3 or 4 days, which is the longest I've ever held one for. So let's get into the intraday. Let's see if we can get it here. I also have my trades too, which I can refer to later. Um, which let's see where we at. See, I don't even recognize, like, I don't even, looking at this chart, I don't even recognize half this price action, because there's just so many damn trades, which is why I'm glad I have these trades here. Okay, here we go. ALYI. Um, so yeah, so here's the 6 cent level. I started buying these dips here. Let's see if I can actually find that in the chart. I believe this was on this third. So you actually started entering on the third here. Yeah, here we go. So these dips to the $6 level or 6 cent level that started holding, I realized, okay, we're now holding over those previous day highs on that daily chart that I showed you guys. So I actually start longing there. I believe I get long some more, right, more dips into the sixes, and we kind of fade into the close. And I'm not a big fan of this action right here. I'm kind of like second guessing the breakout, but I'm like, you know what? I have a great low 6 average. Like, let's just trust it overnight and see how it goes. Next morning, we hold red green, or we hold green on the day, we spike. We consolidate all day long. And now at this point, I'm up like 25%, from 6 cents to up to 8 cents. I'm like, this is where the impatience is starting to kick in. And as you can see here, I actually end up selling my whole position on this break. I pretty much said, okay, if we break 8 cents, I want out. Like, I do not want to give any gains back. I've given this plenty of time, nearly, almost 2 days now, or at least a day and a half. And so you see like this little bit of volume that made me think 8 cents was going to break, and so I actually sold. And they absorbed me. Like, they immediately took all my shares. Plenty of shares on the bid at 8 cents. So I quickly realized, okay, I probably just prematurely sold. They are probably going to take this higher. So I rebought. I immediately bought right at a pretty much the same average, a little bit higher, because again, I'm buying on the ask. But luckily, I did get most of my size back at just slightly a bigger entry than my exit. So it wasn't a big deal. Ended up swinging that overnight. And again, we then spike into the 10 over 10, and over 10 was pretty much my goal. I was like, if we get over 10, I got to take it off. Like, I can't, my patience is going to run out. And I certainly would have sold it the next day when we went red here below 10. So I did end up selling into this morning spike and a little bit more into here or towards 11. And that resulted me in I think my biggest long trade at the time, which was 18,000, but I actually ended up beating that in this next week, which we'll talk about. So that was a really great gain to the day. Another one was TSMP. It's now TSMPD, because they did I believe a merger with Humble Inc. I think at the end of March they'll change their ticker to HUBL. Don't quote me on that, but they did put up PR, so you can check out that PR to get the actual Facts, if that's the case. I think that's the ticker they'll change to. But this was, again, this is the fifth. I made a lot of money long and short on this. I made some good money long, dip buying here and here. But I want to talk about specifically the short because I kind of screwed it up in some ways. Let's get this out of the way here. TSMP. So at this point, I mean, TSMP is run from multiple green days up from 40 cents, and we're now at $1.60. So super overdone. And I really screwed it up on this move here. As you can see here, it kind of did a little small parabolic and then at a higher low and then just completely collapsed. And I really screwed it up because I made some money here, but you can see I actually covered this right near the top. Because let's go back here. When we, pulled right here and then we quickly bounced back, I was like, why are we bouncing back so hard? I thought this pull should have happened right away. And we didn't. And so I was very concerned. I was like, I do not want to get squeezed any higher. I just got very, very skittish very quickly. And so I did cover it all. Didn't even reach short, which again, once this happened, I realized they faked me out and I faked myself out. So very, very disappointing. I mean, this could have been, I think it was like 10 to 20K left on the table, which is like incredibly frustrating, but I did end up making, I believe, 11K long from these dip buys and then 8K short from after reshorting here, and then I ended up reshorting a couple of these bounces and making some money there. So again, can't complain. I did make money on it, so it's good to see. But like I said, the just faking myself out here and not even, and it's okay to cover there, to play it safe. But once we make a higher low now and then we start fading again, I had to reshort there. Like not reshorting was the mistake. Like I've said this before in previous videos, covering to play it safe isn't a mistake, but if the trade starts working again, if you don't re-enter, I think that's the mistake, and that's exactly what happened here. I just did not even think about reshorting. Because I was so convinced it would go higher, which is just not true, right? You got to react to price action you can't predict. So that was a lot of missed profits there. So that was it for that's pretty much the main trades for week one. Into week two, a lot of longs. Like this day here on the 9th was actually my first six-figure day, but it only shows 9,400 or 94,000. Why is that? So when I only track the P&L once I've exited the entire position. So some of the trades that I locked in gains on, I actually had a couple of them still long into today or into the 10th. So technically, yes, I realized 100, but I didn't completely realize all of it until the next day. So for tracking purposes, just to make it simple in my mind, I'm not going to try to I'm not trying to be like, oh, I locked in 60% of my gains on the 9th, so then only 40% will be on the 10th. I just make it easy. I put it all on the day I officially exit the position. So that's why you see it like that. And we'll go over that particular trade that I was swinging for longer periods of time. So for that day though, where I made all that money, was a bunch of breakouts. Like I think 4 or 5 longs just made me the bulk of those gains. First one being ASTI. You see this beautiful breakout over 3.8. What the high was there? 3.8, 3.75. And so if we go into the intraday here, let's see. And this one I wasn't patient like ALYI. I pretty much sold, I think, that very next day into that breakout level. So let's see. Again, I don't even, like looking at this chart, I know I sold into this run up, but in terms of how I entered, I don't even remember, right? This is why I take pictures of my trades, because there's just becoming so many of them. Like it's all blur. It's all blur. So clearly on the swizzle. So this is people ask me all the time, what is an OTC swizzle? And this is a very good example of that. Very small one, right? Preferably, a lot of traders who like to trade this like it longer. They like a longer consolidation of at least an hour or two. But this is a good small example where, we break the morning high at 3.5. We're now just above the breakout level. Like the breakout level was 3.75. And look, that's pretty much right on this consolidation level. And we just go sideways, like perfectly sideways. And now when that happens, it gives you an opportunity to be like, okay, it's either going to go break down, it's either going to break this consolidation below 3.7, and fail, which I won't long, or if it breaks out, if it goes up, then it's like you have a clear risk level. You can literally risk, 3.69, 3.6. Maybe if you want to be really patient, risk 3.2, even though it is a much wider risk level. But it's like it's an inflection point. It's like it's either going up or going down, right? After such a sideways move like that, and so we start going up. That's when I started buying my first piece of position. I then ended up selling that into this run up into here with expectations to rebuy on a dip, which I do because it was still holding the breakout level. You know, the trend was still intact. You know, a pullback like this is actually healthy for it. So you can see I did start buying more there, bought a little bit more into the close, held it overnight, and then as you'll see with all of the theme of all these breakout plays I've been playing, you know, the gap ups have been great, and then you know delayed morning spike, and this one went way further than I thought. Just far. I mean, from 5 to 8 in a morning spike. I mean, that's almost 50%. I believe that is over 50%. So just incredible morning spike. I didn't even get the top. I sold most of mine before 7.5. Did bought a little bit more and then flipped it. So I ended up making about 14,000 on this particular trade. And I mean, of course, I could say, well, what if you were more patient and sold up here? Yeah, it'd probably be over 20,000. But again, to see a morning spike like this, like just incredible. I did not expect such a move like that from this. So it is what it is. You know, I'm glad to sell into strength. It's better to sell too early than too late. You know, it's better to be selling on the way up than being completely greedy and not selling any, and then having to sell some down here because you were just greedy. So happy to have sold some into strength like that. Next one was DPLS. This one was actually a 100% winner. Rarely do I have 100% winners on the long side. Like, you know, my average gain between long and short is like, you know, 8 to 12%. So to make 100 is quite insane. Um, and again, by the daily chart, another breakout, same breakout idea as ASTI, same day, right, overnight. Go to the charts here. Yep, we got it here. So again, the 2 cents was the breakout level. And again, this is also another swizzle example, right? This is where swizzles can be very powerful because I actually got an average below the breakout level. You know, 2 cents right up here was the breakout level. But when we really show this beautiful sideways action like this all day, not all day, but again, coming up on 2 hours right below the breakout level, um, we're either going up or going down, guys. You know, when we started going sideways like this, like I said, we either go up or we go down. And volume started coming in. We started breaking out from to new highs, approaching that breakout level. So I started buying. I bought like what 1.8, whatever that new high was. It broke over 2. I stayed patient. I said, okay, let's see if we can now hold the breakout level. We do, right? We hold, you know, just over 2 cents twice. You know, we dipped below a couple times, but again, that's why I never like risking the breakout level. I like risking something lower to give it like little wiggle room because this happens plenty of times on breakouts. And so that's exactly what happened, right? We hold. I believe I added a little bit more over the new high now because now we've confirmed the breakout holding. We're making new highs, more volumes coming in. So I add a little bit more there. I get my average up to, I believe, like 2 cents, like 198 or something, like pretty much where these dips were. So now this could be my new risk level. We hold sideways right into the close, right near its highs. Perfect close. And in the morning, we just have a huge morning spike, right? I sell most of my shares into the 9, or just not 9, into the 4 cent area. Hold through this dip, sell some more into this balance, and then all of a sudden we just rip to new highs. And I sell the rest up here, I think like 4.4 for 100% gain. That was my new best trade at the time for 22,000. So that was pretty sweet. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better breakout play like that. But then I was quickly, ironically, the exact same day I beat my new best long again with OZSC. So as you can see here, like the trend of just these incredible longs keep happening. The difference with OZSC was that it's actually a dip buy. I missed this breakout over 27 cents, simply because of these previous days, the breakouts didn't seem that impressive. You know, here was pretty good, but I think also too, I think I mentioned this in previous Twist episodes. There were just so many plays that I couldn't possibly keep track of them all. And I think OZSC was one of them that just got away from me. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to miss this one because I have 10 others, you know? But I did make money on the dip buy. So if we go into the intraday here, you know, technically a first red day, but also first red days offer the best dip buy opportunities. And so we actually had a few. OZSC is one of those tickers that's really good at doing that. Really good at panicking and then having really strong bounces. So if we go into my charts here, so yeah, as you can see, pretty much every dip I almost bought. First one there, flipped it. Second one, flipped it. Didn't buy this one because I actually thought this one was going to go red. So the fact that we didn't, I kind of wished, I was like, oh man, I actually should have bought that one. But no big deal. Finally, we do go red. Um, Bought a little bit early on these two dips. And then we started bouncing, and I realized, okay, like, again, considering the previous history of these bounces and even previous days of me playing this ticker, I knew we probably could bounce much higher than just going to 35 cents right here. And we don't. We actually fade lower. So when we started selling off here some more, I said, okay, I gotta cut it, gotta protect myself, cut it there. But then when we started making another low here, I said, okay, let's try this again. So you can see I bought some more here. I actually then, and once we bounced back to these same levels, I thought, okay, the bounce is finally probably in, or the bottom is probably in, the bigger bounce is probably coming. So actually, you could see here, I added a little bit more into this sideways action. Very aggressive, like, usually I would not do this, but because I know OZSC so well, because I've traded it very well in the past, I was willing to be aggressive on this bigger bounce idea. And of course, after some consolidation, again, we go higher. And I end up selling, my pieces into the 36 area and then right into red green near 37, 38. And that, again, that same day was beat my DPLS for a new biggest gain of making 24,000, just 2,000 better. Um, so not a massive bigger, but this just hopefully gives you an example of how incredible this market is for going long, to make three new best long P&Ls within a matter of days of each other, two being in the same day. Just incredible, just really, really amazing market that we were in. So now we move on to GAXY. This was the ticker that I did lock some in on Tuesday that put me over 100, but I kept some overnight for Wednesday, which ended up locking it all in. So I'm just tracking it all on Wednesday, which is, like I explained earlier. So again, another breakout over 4.6. And if we keep going an intraday here, 10 days, we got to go bigger than that. We got to go like a month. And the reason why I locked a lot of it in is because it was kind of breaking down. I didn't like it at all. So we did end up buying, I ended up locking some in. Let's see, and the breakout here was 4 cents. So again, as we're holding, this is, some people, I think I remember people ask me, is this a swizzle here? And, again, it's not a perfect science. It was kind of going sideways, but this fading action isn't what you usually like to see, right? You want to really see that stable sideways action. And so the fact that we were fading a little bit didn't convince me just yet, right? I wanted to see us really start to uptrend. So that's why you see I didn't start buying until we broke this high. I really wanted to, and essentially these dips here, this fading was kind of confirming that breakout level, right? If this is the breakout level at like 4.10, 4 cents here, these dips, for someone who wanted to be aggressive could have been buying those, supporting that breakout level. Me, I wanted to wait a little bit longer. We finally start uptrending, so I do buy it there. I buy a little bit more, I believe, into the close as we're holding, the break. It's officially a close over the breakout level, and if anything, if these past plays that I've been going over hasn't been a history of how this works, maybe not so much in the next few days of markets because we have been slowing down, which I'll mention towards the end. But during this period, like if it closed over the breakout level, you long overnight, you're almost, 80, 90% chance of a gap up. Just super, super hot market for longs, as I've been saying. Again, we gap up, I sell a little more, I sell some more to this morning spike. I still have some left, thinking we can go higher because this is where I'm getting very aggressive. We end up really fading off and I get kind of cold feet. I sell pretty much all my position here. I was like, I can't afford this to go back down. Like I'm not going to give any more gains away. But then we come back, right? We into late day, we actually support ourselves. We hold up some more. I start buying some more and we have a really nice close pretty much at highs, right? At day highs, we pretty much close right there. And then the very next morning into the gap up, I then sell the rest. Again, I'm still being a little bit too aggressive here. Like I should have really locked it in all up in this gap up. But I waited, it bounced, failed. I then sold. Thank God I sold here because I really could have given back much more money. Didn't even buy the dip buy here, which was a mistake. I really should have considered that. But either way, I ended up locking in about 19,000 on this one. So again, just on repeat, like this particular week was just longs over and over and over again. And were there some shorts? Yeah, my favorite short of this week was ENZC. On this particular red day on the 10th. Was that the 10th too? Yeah. So let's go into the chart here. ENZC again was another beautiful breakout, like on that daily chart. But again, I just got overwhelmed with too many plays. Like it wasn't the thought of me even buying ENZC's breakout didn't even cross my mind because I was watching 20 other breakouts. So I missed that one. But again, we did get overdone from 25 up to $1. So I was looking for the first short. And this was it right here. Beautiful. This one has beautiful, beautiful panics and bounces. Fortunately, didn't make too much on the dip buys because I was either A, missed some fills, or B, was really focused on the short side for this particular play. So let's get out of GAGAXY here. So ENZC, I almost played this as perfectly as I can get. Short in the red-green move, covered it all into this panic, immediately reshorted into red-green. This was the only thing I wish I would have done differently was that I covered it all right here. And in hindsight, it's obvious that we were going to panic lower because it's hindsight. But in the real moment, in real time, I wasn't sure. I was very uncertain as if we were going to go lower because of how hard of a panic we had just had. So I did cover it all. But then once we bounce and we really start looking weak, like I start seeing bigger and bigger sellers pop on the ASTI here, I realized, okay, we are going to go lower. Let me reshort. And I did reshort smaller. The reason why I think I could have traded it better was because if I didn't cover here, I would have still had much bigger size from this entry and not smaller size from this entry. So not a huge deal. I still had a decent portion of my shares on right here that I put back on. Panics covered into the bit buy here. Reshorted this bounce, quickly covered when I realized almost same idea, right? I think this right here was what I thought was going to happen right here, right? Because as you can see, we bounced and we never go lower than this low. I mean, maybe you could have gotten out back down here, but you would have gotten out for, again, the same entry, the same price there. So I think that's what I thought was going to happen here, which is why I covered it all. So I'm glad I did cover it all again here. Played it safe, and I locked in over, what was it, 23,000 on this one. So again, just so many great long opportunities, and then the one longs that get very overdone offer even better short opportunities. So that, I believe, was most of that week. And then we have this day. If you haven't seen my previous video lesson on my biggest loss on MNFF, I go into huge detail on that trade, which is resulting why I had this day here. So to keep this video short and keep moving, I'm not going to go over it. Like I've analyzed it plenty in that previous video, so please go watch that. But again, thankfully, from how amazing the previous days were with going long, in having a really rough day on this day, I still ended up having my best week ever, which is just mind blowing. Again, just another reference to this market of how insane it truly was. But anyway, let's keep moving. And actually, to note on this day crushed a lot of traders. Like I wasn't the only one who got hurt. I saw a lot of people on social media say how much they lost on MNFF. And it really was a shift in the market. It certainly was changing. I certainly saw it after I took my loss. And so the next day, or next week, even though this was a pretty sweet week, like this is bigger than most of my months of all last year in 2020. But when I think of the trades I took on this week, there wasn't anything really eventful because it was just me taking a lot of singles. And it's funny to hear me say singles, and it results in a $50,000 week. But just again, in comparison to what the previous weeks were, it definitely, I wouldn't say slow down. It just changed a little bit, right? It wasn't as ideal. There wasn't as many insane runners. There's a lot of smaller plays, and so I just kind of took smaller pieces of those moves. So in terms of trades for week 3, I mean, I don't even have that many that I can remember. One is AITX. We get cozies out here, MNFF. So yeah, this is the day. I talk about all of my video lessons. Go check that one out. AITX though, I believe I've been dip buying. OZSC and AITX have been one of those plays that always offer really, really good dip buys. So I've been playing this thing too many times. But this particular one I think was a good lesson because it's just the perfect example of how I've been playing them this entire time. So AITX, what day was it? I think it was the 28th, or not the 28th, the 18th. So here we go. Pull this out. So again, missed this panic. Thought about buying this panic right here, but just held off. For whatever reason, I just think we should have gone lower after making a new low there. We do go lower, so I do buy, but then we go lower again. So I actually end up selling my shares pretty much at the low, which was really unfortunate. I realized I got faked out there. But then once we made a higher low, the first higher low, I ended up starting to buy, and I just sell it into these pops here. And I think we made only like 50, not only 5,100, but again, like I said, in comparison to the previous weeks where I'm making 10, 15, 20 on average, um, this week was a little bit, quote unquote, slower, where I'm only making 5,000 a trade now. I'm not, this isn't, not, no way I'm complaining. Like, it's still great. But just recognizing the little bit of differences in how aggressive I was being, and then how kind of more protective I decided to be after my bigger loss. So again, and so AITX, that was like just one of the other 10 dip buys that could happen here. I think this was the one I played. Here, or no, this is the one I played. There's dip buy here. There's dip buy there. There's dip buy there. I mean, they're everywhere. They were all over the place, almost all the time, almost every day. Just again, still incredible amounts of opportunity. Going into the end of week 3, which into week 4, I took BFCH. Now, BFCH is a cryptocurrency OTC type play. I'm not sure how they are associated with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I believe they might have their own coin out, and that's probably AABB. But anyway, they're just Bit Frontier Capital. Like they're associating themselves with crypto. They're in the crypto space, and so there was this huge breakout over 30 cents. And which led to a massive run, almost to 60 cents, over 50 cents. So I did end up longing that. If we go into the intraday here, I missed this complete run here. It actually was running so hard and so long. I thought to myself, am I going to miss it? Like, I can't just chase this. So I missed this dip buy here. But once we dipped back and we started holding this 33 level, I started buying these dips. Finally, we started uptrending again. I believe I added a little bit more over over the 40s here late day. And into the close, I was up like almost 9 or 10 grand. And now I decided to be aggressive and say, I don't want to sell any. This kind of, again, this reminded me similar to the last few breakout plays I was playing, where like if you just watch the video, like they all gapped and they spiked huge. Now, granted, this was associated with Bitcoin, so that was something I kind of maybe put off a little bit. I a little bit ignored it. I thought Bitcoin would be stronger than I thought coming into Monday. Unfortunately, coming into Monday, Bitcoin was very weak, um, and we pulled really hard. Now, something that I've been very, I wouldn't say upset, but I'd say frustrated with at particularly E-Trade that I've been using. OTC fills are bad, right? I think if you trade OTCs, you know this. OTC fills are not the cleanest. They're very tough to get. They're not easy. They're not instant like Nasdaq's. But as of recently, I feel like they've been worse, like worse than normal. So if you see my trades here, um, I can see buying these dips, buying this breakout here, or not breakout, buying this new day high, swinging it all overnight. You notice I don't get to sell any in this panic, and it's not because I wasn't trying, it's because they just were not filling me. So it was incredibly frustrating, and it gets to the point of like I feel hopeless, right? I can't fill to save my life. And so I just had to wait. Unfortunately, I hate to say that because it's not how I want to trade. I want to be able to get out a good price. I want to be able to, risk my trade and lock in some gains. But for whatever reason, like just the fills and the execution has been awful, like the worst I've ever seen. So I had to just wait. I had to wait for a bounce. I finally got into strength into the 45s. And instead of locking in 10 grand into the close here, I locked in only like 3,400. So again, 3,400, I'm great to come out with a gain. It could have been way worse. I could have panicked even lower, which I would have really been screwed. But so I am happy to come out with a gain. But in terms of how much I've given back, it's like, man, I gave back like 2/3 of my trade. That's just not okay. So that's something going forward, because I will be going over another example of this, where as the market keeps changing and adapting, I might flip a full 180 and not be swinging overnight anymore. Haven't made that decision fully yet, but just the reoccurrence of this happening has become too often now. Where if I can't get out in the morning, like I don't want to be long overnight. I just don't, because if I have to take it my own responsibility and into my own hands at some point. So if E-Trade or whoever, or if the OTC market just can't physically fill me into these panics, like I'm helpless, and so I just can't put myself in that situation. So that would unfortunately might remove me from going long overnight for some time. We'll see. We'll see if it keeps adapting that way. We'll see what March offers, but for now, that's kind of the trend I've been seeing. as of lately, as the last week or so. So yeah, just super frustrating give and get back gains like that. So let's keep moving on. So again, the next example was PVDG. PVDG. So again, something very similar. So if you watched our me, Matt, Jack, and Jack Daniel, the newest millionaire student, our last twist episode, we go over this recent sell-off in almost the market. Simultaneously, almost every stock, even OTC stocks, which usually don't follow the market indexes, were panicking all at once. And so, unfortunately, I was caught in this. I had long some overnight into the close because this was a breakout over, I believe, 10 cents. So I want to be long, right? Again, the same thesis of like, okay, let's trust the breakout again. Let's, they paid me in the past. Let's see if we can keep going. And we just didn't, right? The next day we just panicked so hard. And again, no fills. Like just I could not pay my broker enough money for them to fill me. So again, I just felt hopeless. Very, very annoying and frustrating feeling. And so you might ask, like, why don't you keep trying? Like, you've got to fill you eventually. And this particular scenario was a very unique situation where, because, like I said, because almost the entire OTC market was panicking, it got to the point where I quickly realized in real time that some of these opportunities, like AITX was panicking, OZSC was panicking, I think ENZC was panicking, other tickers like ABML had a beautiful panic. I actually made some money on this too. If we go a couple of days back here, this panic was happening in real time. I mean, this is an incredible bounce that I made some money on. I actually sold pretty early around the 190s and going back to 150, which is just or 250, which is insane. But during this time, I'm not being able to get out here. I can't even. They're not filling me to save my life. I'm trying to get out lower and lower and lower. It finally hit me of like, I'm so worried about getting out on this one particular play where there are other panics that I'm not in yet that could literally make me 2-3x the amount of money I even have in PVDG. Like, forget about the loss I'm taking on PVDG. If I was just focusing on other plays in that time, I could be making money that's bigger than my entire position on PVDG. So at that point, I almost just totally blocked PVDG out. I was like, okay, I'll just get out when I need to get out. Like, it's a very unfortunate situation where I would never do this as a beginning trader. So take this with a grain of salt. I never want to really do this again. But it was such a unique situation where the opportunity cost of actually letting this loser run was going to save me money from making other trades that were much, much better. Very, very rare occasion, right? Rarely ever happens. This might be the first time that's ever happened to me. So I felt pretty weird doing it, where I almost stopped watching PVDG altogether. I mean, this bottom here, I don't remember it. I don't remember seeing it bottom. I don't, because I wasn't looking. I was too busy dip buying, AITX. I was dip buying ABML, and I made far more money than I lost here. So I ended up waiting for it to bounce, sold into this bounce when I finally gathered myself, got myself back together, sold the other dip buys, was able to come back here and say, okay, let's sell here. Took a 4K loss, which is again much bigger than I wanted. Ideally, if I got out and I got some fills, it would have only been like a $1,500 loss up here. Fortunately, much bigger down here, but like I said, I made that all back on AITX dip buys, all back on ABML dip buys. So in a way, it paid off, but I had to do it at a cost, right? And I had to realize that opportunity cost in the moment, right then and there. So I ended up, I guess in hindsight, you could say I made the right decision, but it's not a decision I want to make all the time. It really ever. I hope I never get put in this situation again. And like I said, I might just stop longing trades overnight to remove myself. Because if I wasn't in this panic, I probably would be looking to dip buy it, and I probably would have made money, in this bounce. So very unique, kind of different lesson there. And then now we're on to this is the Monday, I believe, of week 4. So had those dip buys, but then the biggest winner was WNW. Like I said, we're going to go over this here. I did go over it in detail on the Twist episode, so you can watch it there, but I will go over it again just because it was such an amazing play. And the reason why is because it repeats itself so similarly every single time, right? So let's go over the similarities. We break over 5, we run 10. Okay, that's 100% run. Okay, we pull back, right back to the breakout level. So we go from 5 to 10 to 5. Okay, we break out again. We break out over 10, We would go from 10 to 19, almost 100% run to 20, just round it off, 100% run. We pull back to what? 10. Okay, 10 to 19 to 10. Then we break out again. We break out over 20. We go from 20 to 40, another 100% run. I don't want to say history is a prediction of future returns, but if there's anything close to that, it's WNDW, right? So I knew this, right? I've been, like I said, I've been trading this ticker for years. Like I know this ticker inside and out. And so going into, I believe it was Monday on the first red day, I was very, very eager to short this. And again, the first red green move is usually the trigger. So I got short. I got a great fill. There was a big bidder at 33.75. I took him out. Like they actually got me great fills. Like again, some brokers have been having difficult fills, other brokers haven't. My short trading brokers have been pretty solid recently. So got short there. And actually I have the trades here. Let's pull these up. Yeah, so you can see here, short right out the open there. Got a great fill. Covered a fifth of my position here. Added half of that fifth covered back into this bounce. Faded to almost. I almost thought new lows. I thought we were gonna go to new lows, and I was like super hype, super excited. Like, wow, we're really gonna sell off much lower than I thought on the first day. Fortunately, we do end up bouncing. We go sideways here, and some of you might ask me like, because this is the biggest position I've ever taken. Again, knowing WNW, how well it moves and how convicted I was, I took a probably over $300,000 position. Yeah, easily over 300,000, not over 400, but in the 300s. Certainly the biggest risk I was taking. Like if I lost in this trade, I was going to lose like 10 grand, 10 or 20 for a short trade, which is much bigger than I usually willing to accept. But again, I'm very convicted on WNW. So going into the sideways action, I'm thinking like you would ask like, wouldn't you be worried, right? Wouldn't you want a lower close? And yes, some cases I would. But again, you got to remember my average is like above 33, so I'm still almost $2 to $3 a share higher. I'm very convicted, right? I've seen this happen now. Pull back to the breakout level, not pretty much 2 times now. Why would the third be? I wouldn't say why would the third be different. It could always be different. But again, my conviction level was just very high. So I said, yep, let's swing it. Worst case, I give back my gains, maybe a small loss. Like I'm fine. I'm 100% willing to accept that risk. Let's do it. And coming into the next day is when we had this panic, right? This day when the entire market was panicking was the same day for WNW. So this like really just added the potential downside for my trade. So instead of going to the breakout level in I thought like maybe 3 days, it went to the breakout level in 2. So right back down to $20. And unfortunately, I actually got cold feet. Like again, I had such a big position, I hadn't covered any yet. So when we started bouncing here, I actually covered it all. I kind of got like I was like, crap, I can't give any. It hit me of like, yeah, we might go down to $20 at the breakout level, but why would I risk? Why would I try to get 2 more bucks of share of downside and risk giving back, $4 or $5 a share if it bounced, which it ended up doing, right? It ended up bouncing to 26. So I did cover it all in the 22s here. Again, missed this bottom, no big deal, right? But I ended up locking in over $104,000 on just Cobra, because this was in my Cobra account. But I did take a smaller position at Speecher and a smaller position at IB. Again, like I said, it was very aggressive. Like I pretty much shorted every short brokerage account I had, just because I wanted to. I wouldn't say diversify because it's all in the same stock, but I knew this money. WW was such a convicted play for me. I knew it was a money making opportunity for every account. So for me, it was like, why not try to grow all my accounts? So I had much smaller positions at Speedtrader and at IB. I ended up adding on top of that Cobra gain, so I ended up making like 134,000 between all 3 brokers on this trade. So very awesome, very happy. Now, the funny part is that like I've been saying, I'm waiting for the bounce. Right now, I'm waiting for one final bounce to get short, and then truly the backside of it fading back down to sub 10 or wherever. And of course, the one time I waited for that, it doesn't happen. We have one green day. The very next day, we then start selling up below 20. We close at 17, and on Friday we close even lower at 15. So, do I think a bounce coming? Yeah, at some point, some kind of bounce should happen. But instead of it bouncing to like the high 20s to get short, maybe best case it bounces to like 24 back to up here. Will they reshort it? Yeah, I would still consider reshorting. But it just very ironic. Like the one time I'm like, okay, let's get this bounce. It doesn't happen. We go much lower. So no big deal. Like locking in my biggest gain ever, I'm not going to be, you know, sad or having FOMO of it going lower. Like, yeah, it sucks, but yeah, I couldn't be happier with the way I traded it and how convicted I was and how I pushed size to come out with my biggest gain ever and to result in this kind of a day. So very happy with that. In terms of any more trades, two trades on Thursday here that would really close on my month the best, I think, was again TSMP, TSMPD now. Um, a beautiful dip buy right here, right into the close. This is when they announced they're going to do a reverse split. For whatever reason, reverse splits get people to sell. I don't know. I mean, I I almost sold this bounce pretty early because I was kind of confused as to why it was panicking in the first place. Um, so the fact that it was panicking, like, I'm just happy that it offered a bounce opportunity. But I ended up actually selling almost all my position at the 87s. Whereas if I didn't think there was news, like if I didn't know there was a reverse split announcement, I probably would have been more aggressive because I thought to myself like TSMP always bounces pretty hard and pretty strong. So I probably would have made it at least to 90, but 90 cents or higher. Um, but I only made it to the high 80s. I sold it all there in that first red candle. Still made it over 10 or not over. I still made like 9,900 on it. So pretty happy with that. That was a nice like little single that I just stayed patient all day for. Right, it wasn't even really watching until it started panicking. So that was cool to have that patience there. And then AMC was another good example for a Nasdaq play. As you know, in January, AMC and GME had this, the whole meme stock or sector momentum. I didn't trade them too much. I did make some money on AMC. Well, let's put it this way: because GME was such a kind of like the hot stock that everyone wanted to trade, everyone had the attention of. I feel like AMC was like the little brother that everyone picks on, that no one really pays attention to. So AMC was my kind of really like stock in the meme stock sector that I traded really well. Mainly because for the exact reason why I made money on this, it followed GME, but it followed it by a delay. Like there was always like a 10 to 20-second delay of what it would do to follow GME. So as long as I was watching GME, I kind of got to see where AMC would go, 10 to 20 seconds ahead of time, which is a huge edge. So if we go to the trades here, let's exit out this bad boy. So yeah, there's the WW covers. Already went over those. AMC. So you can see here I start shorting into this first lower high. So we panic right out of the open, we bounce, and I start shorting right here, up in the high tens. Um, Now, why did I be so aggressive? Because so many other tickers could easily pull like this and then ramp right to new highs, right? So why did I short here when we could have easily broken 11? I would have to cut it for quite I think like a 3K loss. It was because right in between this inflection point between this red candle or this green candle and this red candle, GME was starting to halt down. GME was already panicking even lower and halting down, while AMC was still floating around here for like 10 more seconds. So that was my opportunity. I was like, okay, AMC is going to halt down or at least sell off very hard. Let's get short. Got short, and as you can see, like we pulled super hard right away. I think a mistake, not a mistake, but something in hindsight I wish I had done. I wish I had covered some here because GME did end up bouncing and so did AMC. AMC bouncing way more than GME did, so I was very thrown off. So I actually didn't even. Well, let me see. You can actually see I covered some because I got a little bit worried. I was like, why are we coming back even stronger? Like, is AMC going to take a mind of its own? So I covered partial there, but then you see I quickly reshorted because at this point when I reshorted down here, GME was halting down again. So it was just more confirmation of like, no, AMC's toast, right? AMC's going to follow GME, just maybe take some time. I'd be a little bit delayed, like I said. So I did reshort the size I covered. And then ended up covering it all down here in the 940s. Why did I do that? Well, the red green level was, at 9 or 9, like the high nines or the low nines. And just from experience, I've seen a lot of these tickers not necessarily go red right away. It usually might take till tomorrow, or in this case, late day for them to go. Having such a hard sell off from 11 to 9 in 20 minutes the market open, asking a lot for it. So even if we did go red, I still think a bounce over back to green would happen anyway if I wanted to reshort. So I said, okay, let's just lock this gain in, cover it here. Did end up locking in 8,700. So I was very happy with that trade. I mean, to do that in the first 20 minutes was awesome. Really, really stoked on that short. In terms of the reshort, I actually didn't reshort at Cobra. I did take a smaller short at IB because IB, I've kind of made IB my like swing short position broker, and I was willing to swing AMC if I needed to, so I took the trade there. Shorted into this bounce, and then my goal was to hopefully swing it and cover sub 8. And not ironically, but you know, surprisingly, we actually got that like into the close. We washed sub 8, and I was like, well, why swing and take overnight risk when I can just take my goal right here? So I covered here, made like another like 3 or 4 grand there, which resulted into this last great day of 23,000, closing out this week of my best week ever, and then closing out the month with my best month ever. So I have no idea how long this video has been going, but just by the amount of plays I've been going over and how many plays there's been, I'm sure it's probably going to be a long video, which is okay. But yeah, just like I said at the beginning of this video, just insane market. It will not be like this. It will not last. When it ends, I have no idea. I'm just going to keep pushing my limits while we're here. In terms of my stats, this average loss is a little bit bigger than I'd like. It should be lower than 3K, but again, taking this huge loss I did, kind of skews my averages a little bit. But also taking this huge win also skews my averages a little bit. So they're off, but again, at the end of the day, having a bigger win than a bigger loss is important. Win percent is pretty good, double my loss, which is awesome. Win rate, I love being over 60%, so that's sweet. Like I said, this was DPLS 100% winner. My WW, huge biggest profit, biggest loss in MNFF. And yeah, so going into March, like we'll see what happens. Like I said, I might keep taking a mental log of if I should be even longing anything overnight anymore. Because if they just panic and I can't get out, like I'm hurting myself more than helping myself at some points. Especially when I can lock in more gains if I just sold into the close. So we'll keep monitoring that as we go. Other than that, just gonna keep taking it day by day, keep kind of reacting to whatever happens, and just going to try to keep as much profits as I can for when this market does shift, because it will eventually come. Maybe not this month, maybe not next month, maybe not next year, maybe not until next year. But it does, and it will happen. So just want to be prepared for it. So thanks so much again, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys next time.